Another individual who is in the business of protecting people and have been for decades is my next guest, who's an incredible patriot, General Tom McInerney. General McInerney served as a pilot, commander, and strategic planner in the United States Air Force. He retired, although he's far from retired, from military service as an assistant vice chief of staff of the Air Force and director of the Defense Performance Review. General McInerney graduated from the United States Military Academy and earned a master's degree in international relations from George Washington University. Tom also served and attended the Armed Forces Staff College and the National War College. It is my honor to welcome back General Tom McInerney. Tom, welcome back to Operation Freedom.
Great to be with you, Dave. Thanks for having me.
So, Tom, I want to start off our conversation on something called the Steele dossier, which was a critical piece, although bogus, paid for by the DNC and Hillary Clinton, a piece of information that was used to launch the FISA applications, used to launch the surveillance of the Trump campaign. Tom, you and I have been talking about this, and a number of others, for over 3 years, that it was a bogus piece of information. Yet, the headlines this week are that, well, it appears now that some FBI interviews have been declassified and other information is to be classified, that, well, the Steele dossier was not legitimate. Tom, this is something you've been talking about for over 3 years.
It's amazing, Dave, that the New York Times is trying to use a cover-up like that, we now just found out about it. You and I and others have been talking about this, as you say, for 3 years. It has been in every chronicle that you could read, and the fact is it was a blatant plant by the intelligence community through Hillary Clinton and the Brits through their GCHQ, which is Government Communications Headquarters, their NSA, and with the Russians to try to plant and make Donald Trump's electoral committee, as well as his administration, to look guilty. And so they falsified documents. This has been out, and the New York Times just says, duh, we just had this confirmed. Please, we know everything now. You and I could right now write the indictments for the grand jury on all these people, on Comey, on Obama, on Biden, on Jim Clapper, on Sally Yates, on every one of those people that were involved in this fake dossier, the Russian hoax, and we could do it right now. So what's troubling us, I believe, is why John Durham has not had the grand juries formed and why it has not gone public. Because we've known this, and it's been through so many efforts by so many people to be explained to the American people that the average American knows it full well. And it's wrapped in all honesty, in General Mike Flynn's now being cleared by the Department of Justice and the FBI, except he has a federal judge that doesn't want to clear him. And because it shows that the judiciary was also involved with this cover-up, which is just unbelievable, and the FISA court was involved with it. They were never officially told that the Russian dossier was a fraudulent document paid for, and it was disinformation by the Russian and the government, as well as Hillary's campaign, and as well as the FBI and the intelligence community. That means John Brennan, Jim Clapper, were all involved with this. And so it's just absolutely outstanding that the New York Times could come out what they did this week with that statement that you just read.
Well, in fact, Tom, the New York Times and many of the folks in their bought-off lamestream fake syndicate We're accusing you, your good friend Admiral Ace Lyons, who's a regular on this radio show, myself, and a number of others, as being conspiracy theorists in 2017 when we spoke about this. And in fact, when these documents were released this week, declassified, it showed that the FBI was knowledgeable in January of 2017 that Steele dossier was fraudulent. Also, we know from other documents that have been released through the great work of Sidney Powell, the fantastic attorney for General Mike Flynn, the FBI knew in January of 2017, real important month, January 2017, that in fact General Flynn was an innocent man and had not colluded with Russia. Yet they still, all these people in the government, allowed Mueller to be appointed in May of 2017 to start this fake hoax investigation, when in fact it was the minute he walked in the room. If he was truly an honest man, would have said, oh, wait a minute. I've looked at 2 documents and they all say that this is all bogus. This never should, I'm done. Instead, he let it go on for 3 years.
And $40 million.
And how many lives ruined?
How many lives ruined?
Every American's life was ruined because it kept our country at each other's throats for 3 years needlessly.
Exactly. When they lost that, what did they immediately do? They jumped into the Ukraine hoax. And then what did they do when they lost that? They jumped into impeachment. So this president has been under the gun since before the inauguration, as well as right on up through today. And they continue to try to create false narratives to continually try to intimate there's some Russian involvement. Everywhere there's some Russian involvement. I mean, they even stretch it to the Russians trying to take out U.S. troops in Afghanistan. And something like that comes up, and they distort it. And so that's what the American people have got to understand. And the sooner John Durham gets his grand juries going and cranks up, then the sooner the American people that this can be even more transparent. General Flynn is helping a great deal to show the corruption that we had in the intelligence community, in the Department of Justice, in the FBI, in the judicial system with the FISA warrants, and now what General Flynn is being put through. All this is becoming very apparent to the average American on the street that the corruption by the Obama administration has never been seen before in the United States and in our history. And they try to impeach, they try to create a coup d'etat with an incoming administration, as well as then try to impeach him. And they apparently do not want to stop it. Now they've got this organized unlawfulness going on in Portland and New York City and all around the world, Los Angeles, all these cities, Chicago, and it's all tied together. That's why I'm mentioning it. It goes back through the corruption through the Obama administration, and now they don't want to open schools to Democratic governors, because if they do, that will show that the economy is improving. And it's very important to the economy that these kids go to school for not only the parents and 2 working families, 2 parents in a working family working. And so they are doing everything they can to try to prevent President Trump from winning the next election. And it's not going to work. But it's all related is what I'm saying. All that we are seeing today is related.
It is related, Tom, and actually it goes back to an interview that you did on this platform, March 19th, 2017. Fake Steele dossier was cover and used for the fake Russian collusion hoax, which was cover and distraction for the illegal surveillance activity that Obama, Brennan, Clapper, and a number of other people in their administration, throw Comey in there, throw Mueller in there, that were involved with for years, of targeting their political opponents, utilizing a system that was initially used against terrorists that was flipped. A parallel platform by the name of the Hammer was used and flipped on political adversaries. And all this other smoke and mirrors that was created was trying to protect themselves from being found out, if you will, about this coming out in the open, about something that you blew open and Admiral Lyons blew open on this platform on March 2017. Everything is associated with that, Tom.
Exactly. And what we didn't know on that date in March 2017 was that's what was presented to President Obama on the 5th of January, just before he left, when they opened the investigation, when he directed the FBI to look into, and the reason why the FBI sent two people over to interview General Flynn. And that information on the Kislyak memo came from Hammer. It wasn't a normal NSA document. And that's why Sally Fields was so...
Sally Yates,
excuse me. I'm watching too many movies. That's why Sally Yates...
Sally Fields was a flying nun, and Sally Yates ain't no nun.
That's why Sally Yates wasn't aware of it until the president mentioned it and said, put the appropriate people. And that's a dog whistle for put our special team on. And so Biden is sitting in that meeting. Biden has got this Russian collusion all over him, along with President Obama. This could not have happened unless Obama was letting it happen. And so that's why we've got to get John Durham's grand juries going on in a hurry, so the American people know how corrupt the whole Democratic Party is, but also the media. What I've never mentioned before, but I will now, Dave. After Obama spoke, I was doing a seminar sponsored by someone in the Washington Post. And I'm not going to give you his name. But in one-on-one, he told me, because they were very proud that Obama won, and he said, General, you know, the media is the one that elected Obama. And I said, yeah, I know that. I mean, let's face it. We now know his competition wasn't that tough, John McCain. And,
right. Romney.
And so the fact is, the media is so tied into this, and you see it today with what goes on in CNN, the Washington Post, the New York Times. They are complicit. They are complicit with the Democratic Party, and they're trying to destabilize, along with the Democrats, the country. And that's what the American people, I think, are starting to realize. Average Joe Q public is starting to realize that this is all contrived information, and the Democrats are using it and putting out false information, even on the number of coronavirus patients and illnesses that come up every day. You probably saw the other day someone was killed in a motorcycle accident, and they attribute it to coronavirus. So,
right.
So those numbers, and they're concerning. Don't misunderstand me, but you know how valid they are. The real death rate is what we've got to look at, and that's why they tried the hexachloroquine, tried to badmouth it, and all these things that they're trying to use against the administration is coming from, we now know, Democrats on the Hill, the Democratic Party National Committee, the media, as well as those, and mostly those appointed by Obama or other Democrats in the judiciary. It's dangerous. It is a very dangerous time we're talking about. And you and I have talked about the tactical ways of the hammer and all these different things where the intelligence community, the IC, where they have falsified information and falsified it from our allies, whether it was the Brits, whether it was the Italians, no matter who it was, there has been falsifications of information that is being presented, and it's being presented by the mainstream media.
And they are panicked and desperate, Tom, that the information not get out. In fact, that was evident on that March 19th, 2017 interview we did. It came out when the Inspector General Department from the Department of Justice, Michael Horowitz, released the text messages between Strzok and Page. Right after our interview, Tom, Strzok and Page were texting about it, and they weren't very happy about the fact that you brought this up with the support of Admiral Lyon.
Correct. Matter of fact, they were very, very concerned about it and took certain actions to try to remediate the problem so the word didn't get out. And you notice the mainstream media, how much have they talked about the hammer? How many articles have you seen in the Washington Post and the New York Times about the hammer? None.
Oh, no, they want it under wraps. And their representatives want it under wraps because it opens up the huge underbelly of the deep state beast. So now they got a guy in there, Joe Biden, who they're trying to push on the American public. Imagine if this happened with President Trump. This from Joel Pollack from Breitbart. Joe Biden quotes Mao Zedong. Former Vice President Joe Biden used a quote made famous by the late Chinese communist leader Mao Zedong in an online fundraiser with Valerie Jarrett, former President Barack Obama's chief White House advisor, on not 20 years ago, right? This was like 5 days ago. Imagine Trump if he started quoting Mao Zedong. What would happen?
It's unbelievable, isn't it? But that's where the Democratic Party has gone. You talk about Black Lives Matter. That's a fascist organization. The three founders will all tell you, it's a Marxist organization. The three founders will tell you that and their beliefs in it. And so the rioting and all that are not just normal people protesting. They are deliberately trying to create chaos in the United States. And when you have 51 or 52 days of continuous demonstrations in the city of Portland, Oregon, and the mayor absolutely clueless about it, you see what they're trying to do in New York City. The crime rate is going out of sight in New York City, and what they're trying to do in Washington, D.C. Fortunately, the president has brought in the guard when he's needed it and done other things to suppress it here. But that's the danger that we are now facing. They're trying to get in office, and so they can do and stop all the initiatives that President Trump has taken to out the Chinese Communist Party. A lot of this money that's coming into these people is coming through the Chi-Coms and other proxies that they're bringing money in and funding this disruption, et cetera. And it's all related. When people see any of the chaos that's going on, it's all related, Dave. And the American people have got to understand that, the danger of having somebody like Joe Biden as the next president of the United States and have Nancy Pelosi as the next House Speaker after all she's failed to do since she's been the Speaker so far in the last 2 years.
Anita Dunn, senior advisor to the Biden campaign, this from Joe Pollack, infamously praised Mao as well in 2009 when she was Obama's White House communications director. She called Mao one of her two, quote, favorite political philosophers, end quote. This is a guy, Tom, who murdered 40 million people.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
It's sad.
Quoting Mao. This is... we won the Cold War, and now the progressives are actually, they're communists in the Democratic Party, all the things they want. The Green New Deal will absolutely kill America. Throwing $2 trillion into the temperature issues, global warming, will kill America, will bankrupt us. All these initiatives, free college, all these initiatives, free health care for immigrants, illegal immigrants, free health care. This is part of what Biden is putting out. That's why they want to defund the police